Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to get right into the heart of how apps actually work. We're talking about data types. These are literally the Lego bricks you use to build an idea into a real working application. And you're about to see just how easy they are to understand.
It all starts with this one simple question, but it's a really powerful one. Just think about that for a second. There are hundreds of millions of us who use spreadsheets every single day. What if that skill, that thing you already know, was all you needed to start building your own apps?
Well, that isn't just a what if. That is exactly the promise behind a language called PowerFX. It's designed to be that bridge, taking all the concepts you're already familiar with from Excel and letting you use them to create, well, everything from simple automations to honest-to-goodness apps.
So here's what we've got on tap. We're going to start with that journey from Excel to an app. Then we'll get into the rules of information, what data types even are. We'll look at the kind of data you use every day, see how we can organize it, and then we'll explore the magic that makes PowerFX so simple. And finally, we'll see how all this turns you from just a user into a real creator.
All right, first things first, let's talk about making that leap. How do you go from the cells and columns of a spreadsheet to the interactive, dynamic world of an app you built yourself?
The real genius of PowerFX is that it respects what you already know. It doesn't ask you to learn a whole new way of thinking from scratch. No, it builds right on top of the formula language you're already used to. That makes it such an incredibly natural place to start.
Okay, now for the main event, the rules of information. See, if you want to build anything, you have to understand your materials, right? And in the digital world, our material is data. The rules that tell us how to use that data, we call those data types. So let's break that down.
So what on earth is a data type? The best way to think of it is like a label on a storage container. You've got one container for liquids, another for, sharp objects. You wouldn't pour your coffee into a shoebox, would you? A data type does the same thing for an app. It tells it what kind of stuff it's holding. Is this a number for doing math? Is this text for people to read? Or is it a date for a calendar?
And this is why it matters so much. Just look at this slide. That plus sign, it's the same symbol in both columns. But when the app knows it's looking at numbers, it does addition. 1, 2, 3 plus 4, 5, 6 is 5, 7, 9. Easy. But if the app thinks it's looking at text, it just smushes them together. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Same symbol, totally different results, and it's all because the data type sets the rules.
Let's talk about the data you already handle constantly. These are the simplest, most fundamental building blocks of, well, pretty much everything. And you're using them all the time, even if you don't think about it.
Yep, these are the big ones. You've got numbers for all your calculations. You've got text for any kind of word or sentence. Dates, obviously, for keeping track of time. And then Boolean, which is just a fancy computer science way of saying something is either true or false. That's it. If you've ever typed anything into a spreadsheet cell, these are your absolute bread and butter.
Okay, but we almost never work with just one little piece of data at a time, do we? We need to group things together, organize them into something more useful. And this is just a brilliant way to picture it. Sticking with our Excel analogy, think of a record as just a single row in a spreadsheet. It's a bunch of different pieces of info that are all about one thing, like a customer's name, their order number, and the date they bought something. Now stack a bunch of those rows, those records, together, and what do you have? A table, which is your entire spreadsheet. See, you already know this stuff.
So we've got all these building blocks, simple and complex, but how does PowerFX make it so darn easy to put them all together? Well, this is where the real magic happens.
It really comes down to these three big ideas. First, it's strongly typed. Think of this as a safety feature. It stops you from putting text where a number should go. Then, it has type inference, which basically means it's smart enough to figure out what kind of data you're giving it all by itself. And finally, it's locale sensitive, so it automatically understands how you write dates and numbers wherever you are in the world.
So let's see type inference in action. Say you type a simple command. You want to set a variable called radius to the number 12. The second you do that, PowerFX looks at 12 and says, yep, that's a number. So it automatically labels your radius variable as a number type. And from then on, it's got your back. It'll prevent you from accidentally trying to cram the word circle in there later. It does all the heavy lifting for you.
And what about being locale sensitive? This is so cool. If you're in the US, you write the number pi as 3.14, but if you're in France, you'd write 3,14.
A lot of programming languages would totally freak out over that comma, but PowerFX just gets it. It adapts, just like Excel does.
And that's really the whole philosophy here. This is so important. The language was built to adapt to you. You don't have to bend over backwards to please the language. The language meets you where you are.
Which brings us to our final, and honestly, our most important point. We've gone through the what and the how, but now it's time for the why. Why does any of this actually matter to you?
Because when you really, truly get your head around this idea of data types, these basic rules of information, something amazing happens. You cross over this invisible bridge. You go from being someone who just uses data in spreadsheets and apps to someone who creates with it. This knowledge right here, this is the key that unlocks your ability to start building things for yourself.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. The walls have come down. The tools are smarter. The language is finally speaking your language. So now, what are you going to build?